Thank you for joining us for the Black Hills AI webinar, Otto IP, Commonly Used Guided Skills Part 1. A recording of this episode and the slides will be made available on the Black Hills AI YouTube channel, as well as the Black Hills AI website. Feel free to enter any questions using the Q&A feature in the Zoom menu. We invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and to visit our website to learn about our other webinars. And with that, I will turn things over to Tom.
Right. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. A quick background here, little view of our Otto IP team. I'm Tom Marlowe, Chief AI Officer with Black Hills AI. And just background, Black Hills AI, we've been in this business for 14 plus years, driven from the beginning by IP professionals. You can see a little bit about the things that we do, a lot of focus on end-to-end, back-end support, docketing, reporting, IDS, renewals management. And today, we're going to be getting into our Otto IP tool. In particular, we're focusing on some of the popular Otto IP guided skills. This first one is around Inventor interview support. This feature has become one of my personal favorites for helping practitioners prepare and conduct effective Inventor interviews. So let's take a look at what we've got. Within this guided skill, we've at a high level got a comprehensive Inventor interview analysis and preparation tool and a simple one. As part of what we're going to take a look at today, we're going to run through both with two versions of invention disclosure forms, a very complete multi-page invention disclosure form with figures and everything, like we all hope that we get when working on a new matter. And then a more simplified one, much shorter, more brief information, like I'm sure we've all dealt with from time to time, where you have to garner more information during the interview itself. So for the first one, here's just a kind of a quick preview of what that comprehensive invention disclosure will look like. The details aren't so important. I just wanted to give you a sense of how much data is involved, along with there being actual image-based figures that we're also going to add to the Otto IP tool as part of this process. In the second part, the simple one, you can see for comparison purposes, it's shorter, much less technical information, but still gives us enough to be able to drive the inventor interview process from, and for the Otto IP guided skill to be able to give us some nice analysis and interview guidance to work from. Okay, so how we get started, we'll dive right in. You log in to our Otto IP portal, and those that are familiar with using this is all going to seem very, very similar to how you operate day to day. We're going to have a workspace. In this case, I've defined this one as invention disclosure. And here you can see I've added a few documents into the documents section. So these are the ones that we're going to work with in the examples today. I've got a detailed invention disclosure that we just saw. I've got our drawings in PNG format. And then for the second part, I've got our simple invention disclosure. Okay, so now diving into the guided skills, we go up to the tab to add a new tab, start a new session. That new session is going to be launched from a guided skill. I've already got this in the recently used at the top. You can see from the list, you could find it, but the Inventor interview preparation is the one I'm going to choose. And that opens up our session window here. You can see there's multiple prompts to choose from. In this case, we've got a nice help guidance prompt that goes along with it. And we're going to start out here because we've got it available. Let's use it. And this is going to give us a little bit of background on how to choose which of the various prompts we want to use or which ones we want to start with. So there's a comprehensive version and a simple or more streamlined version. Otto AI is basically giving you right now the detail that you might need to make a decision on which one you want to use given your situation. I think the high level kind of comes down to how much time you've got to prepare. Are we talking about 3+ days in advance of the interview, or is this, hey, I'm scrambling to get some preparedness done on the day of the interview happening? That kind of is what I would use, at least as a takeaway for driving my decision making on this. And so we can see some of the details that are provided, and you'd be able to follow these to make your decision. Okay, so from here, we're going to go, after reviewing all this, we're going to say, okay, I've got a detailed invention disclosure. I've got a few days before I need to have my inventor interview on this matter. So I want to jump into a comprehensive invention disclosure analysis. We're going to take a look at that. And then some follow on from it. We're going to take a look at some plan adjustments, for example, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so back into Otto here. We're going to grab that primary prompt. I'm going to take the figures. I'm going to take the detailed invention disclosure. I'm going to attach them into my session window, grab the primary prompt. I can expand that to see exactly what it looks like. One of the things that we value highly here at Black Hills AI is transparency in our processes, particularly around guided skills, so that as a practitioner, you understand the backside of what's being asked. And if you need to edit this or adjust it or change things to kind of better fit your practice, that's available to you. Okay, so I've run this prompt. I've sped this up a little bit to be respectful of everybody's time. For those that have used AI tools before, you know, sometimes this reasoning comes out a little bit slower, but we've got a lot of detail here. And so we can see there's an executive summary that gives you a high level, an estimated interview duration. Here we've got 2.5 to 3 hours. A lot of times that seems heavy to me. In a second, we're going to try to adjust that. But let's take a look at what is created based on that timeline that it begins with. So you can see this kind of detailed agenda, breaking everything up down into the 10, 15, 20-minute increments for the various pieces of the interview. It's kind of nice to be able to drive your timing and make sure that you're covering the key topics. And then within each area, we're given questions that can be asked. So where do we need some more details? What are key areas of the invention here that we want to cover? And how we want to drive this process with the inventor. So a lot of really interesting analysis here. One of the things, though, that I recommend from this, because there's admittedly a lot of information, is to take this, pull it into a document, and adjust as you go. There's going to be some of these questions where, as a practitioner, you're going to be able to say, I don't need to know this, or this isn't necessarily applicable, or I want to hold off. So, like here, we've got a lot of information about prior art, maybe some support for what the tool would recommend from a prior art search perspective. Maybe we're not doing that yet, right? So we can push that off, but if we are, then we can kind of drive some of that using this data. In addition, the tool takes a stab at some initial claim scope suggestions. Again, like with any response from any other AI tool, I would not recommend just taking these things and running with them in an application. These are things that you should treat as suggestions and maybe starting points, things that you can use as a jumping off point as a practitioner for initial claim sets or areas for discussion with the inventor that you're working with. All right. So then as we go through this document, it gets down into like additional things that you would want to ask for from the inventor, some of the before filing process, some of the milestones that you might want to go over, some of the things around strategy then as well. So maybe these aren't necessarily specific to the technical pieces of the invention, but things that are useful talking to the inventor with. And be aware that it's going to throw out things like budget numbers that may or may not fit your practice exactly. Just take that as a guideline. Kind of think about it as a filled out template that you can adjust from. And some of these things you may or may not decide that you want to or have time to go over in an invention disclosure meeting, like continuation, divisional strategy, international filing strategy. Maybe those are for discussion with the in-house counsel rather than the inventor. Trade secret versus patent considerations. These are all potentially useful topics, but use your own judgment as an attorney for which of these make the most sense to bring up during your discussion. If nothing else, they can be good reminders of potential topics that might be worth covering when you're discussing. Okay, so this will keep on scrolling down. We've got kind of a timeline. This is nice too for giving an idea, and these timelines can be adjusted. But being able to say even follow up this interview process with a timeline where you're adjusting it to when you want drafts back and then what prosecution may or may not look like. Action items, again, that can be adjusted during or after the interview. So at the end of that, we've got a lot of data, a lot of analysis that can be useful. One of the things that I'm going to do here, for example, is say, all right, I'm going into this. I don't have 2.5 to 3 hours for this interview. I'm going to ask Otto to adjust its agenda to we'll say a 90-minute time frame. So I'm going to say, okay, adjust me to covering just 90 minutes and give me an updated agenda. So we'll do that. Otto responds with an updated agenda, breaking things into 90 minutes, and now I can move forward with this new agenda, send this out before the meeting, and use this to drive the process with the inventor. Of course, any other adjustments as you're going through that you want to make, particularly some of the more impactful ones, you just ask Otto to make that adjustment, and it can do it within this tool. It's kind of slick. Okay, so that at a high level is how we deal with a comprehensive analysis of a detailed invention disclosure. From here, you can see I can ask other things like, hey, here's some additional disclosure. hey, I've got prior art search results, and I can attach those as well and get additional analysis. And it can go on and on. Okay, so what I want to do next is let's jump to the simple invention disclosure analysis guided skill. And we're going to take a look at that. We're going to have a much less detailed invention disclosure that we're going to use for this process. And then we're going to add in some follow-up documentation and see what that process looks like. Okay, so here I'm going to start a new session, launch the guided skill, just like we did with the first one. And this time I'm just going to attach the invention disclosure simple document that I mentioned earlier. We'll attach that so we can see I've got one attachment here. And instead of using the primary prompt, I'm going to use this quick preparation prompt. Again, we can expand that to see what it looks like, drop it into the chat, and let's let it rip. So here the idea is I've got less time to prepare. So I want Otto to kind of cut to the chase and give me a plan that will take less time for me to digest and be ready for the inventor interview. Okay, so I've got a much simpler disclosure here. So it's going to identify what are the gaps, what are the critical missing items, things that I want to make sure to talk about. Where are key areas of prior art, some of the background information, and then we jump into a 90-minute here agenda. And again, if you need to cut that down to 60 minutes or whatever time frame you're working with, you just follow and ask Otto to adjust. So we've got a priority ordered set of questions that are provided here that are designed to fit the time frame that was provided. So we can walk through, take a look at those, take a look at the topics that are going to be that the tool is suggesting to use with the inventor. And as you can see, this is far less detailed than the more comprehensive one that we worked with, but much quicker to digest and have yourself kind of in a prepared place for the inventor interview. All right, so now following on this, let's say we've gone through the interview. It went well. We talked for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, got some great detail out of that interview. And now I want to figure out what's next. What follow up? Are there any other gaps that I want to make sure that I've addressed? What questions should I provide to the inventor? I'm going to take the transcript from the interview and I'm going to go ahead and add that into Otto here. So I'm uploading that file. I've created a transcript file here. Let's see what that looks like. That'll show up in my documents. And there it is up at the top. And now I can go ahead and attach that to my session. You can see now I've got two attachments on my session. If we expand that and I want to take a look at what these look like, I can click on them from in here and I'll get a nice pop-up that shows me my interview kind of in the format you would expect an audio transcript to look. Let's see back and forth between attorney and inventor. And so from here, I can follow up and ask Otto to do some further review, take a look at that inventor interview transcript, and provide to me some additional analysis and follow-up questions based on kind of the addition of this information that came out of our interview. You can see Otto's churning away at that nice set of detailed information. We're we're not as constrained by time at this point, so we're getting something much more comprehensive. Again, like we discussed with respect to the first piece of analysis, um, I'd rather have more detail than less in this case. So some of this is going to be useful. Some of this, as a practitioner, I can say, yeah, I already know that information, or I don't need to get that. I don't necessarily need to follow up on that. So, um, so kind of use it as you will, as you will. Use your judgment along with it. But this provides a really nice, pretty comprehensive guidance for one, what was learned from the inventor interview, and two, where are there additional gaps or areas where we want to find out a little bit more information. So as we go through and take a look at this data, you can see some pretty interesting and useful stuff here. Follow-up questions. Um, and you can decide how you want to use this. It doesn't make sense to set up a follow-up interview. Can some of these things be dealt with just kind of email back and forth at this point? As a practitioner, that's on your plate for how you want to handle the next steps. And what of this is even worth discussing with the client, or with the inventor, with the client, with the maybe in-house counsel that might be involved. One other thing that we can do here with Otto is then ask it to give me an initial draft on an email to the inventor to use as follow-up. So basically, based on the analysis that it's doing from this interview, why don't you give me a first cut at an email? So Otto here is giving a little bit of background on how it's trying to put this together, and now it draws up a nice, actually pretty detailed email with some key questions that it wants answered, and a follow-up kind of proposal for next steps. So this could be a nice way to go from very basic invention disclosure to a very comprehensive analysis, while saving a lot of writing time, frankly, on the part of the attorney. Like I mentioned, this is one of the skills I particularly like, because you get such immediate feedback with it, because it's used like very close to right before the inventor interview. You use the material from the interview, and then you use it again as part of your follow-up. So I kind of like that feedback sequence that you get out of a tool like this. Okay, so that then is a kind of a quick high-level view of this skill within our Otto IP system. From here, I'm going to open it up to questions if there are any. I think we've got about 5 minutes left in our scheduled time. If there's any questions about this skill or Otto IP generally.
There currently are not any questions. Oh, here comes one. Is there any provision for European drafting specifics?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm trying to recall if we have European drafting specifics in our guided skills yet. Um, Scott or Mike, do you recall? I want to say I think I've seen them, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't think those have been added yet to the portfolio. There's some stuff in there for, drafting like a foreign office action reporting letter for a client, EPO narrative claim integration. So there's some stuff in there right now. I know we're going to expand the guided skills for foreign applications.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. So the answer is I don't think there's a guided skill for that specifically yet, but these are under constant development. So we're adding more and more skills each day and week.
Another question has come in. Presumably by default, this is specific to US drafting practice, prices, etc.
Yes, I can answer that. Yes, what we're seeing is particularly in the response that we have today, I think probably what you're referring to is the pieces about timeline, budget, process that show up. Yes, those are uh, generally responses that are specific to US practice. Now, that being said, an adjustment to the prompt could get you responses that adjust it to another jurisdiction. So that would be a pretty simple adjustment. You could take this guided skill and add in, my practice is in Europe, so I want to adjust the timelines and budgeting to what's generally seen in that jurisdiction. And of course, always, especially when there are like specifics like dollar amounts and timelines that are provided, um, it's good to review everything that comes back from any AI tool, but particularly the detailed specifics.
What
And I'll
practice
add,
area? Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
sorry, I'll add quickly as well. So the guided skills that you have available within the tool, again, those are the guided skills that we've created. Now, Otto IP does allow you to customize those skills and copy and make additional guided skills based off of what we've created. So there is the ability to customize those. So you can update the LLM instructions, you can add additional documents that you want to be automatically added in context when you add a guided skill to a session. And we can help walk you through that. So there is a way to take what we've created and then update it and customize it more so to your practice, if it's a European client, et cetera.
Another question, what practice areas do you find this most beneficial? For example, electrical software.
So for the skill that we looked at today, I think this one is going to be beneficial in just about any practice. There's some things that these tools are going to be more suited for like an electrical and software because they're more, a lot of times they're more flow based and less kind of structural. So sometimes for some of the skills, a mechanical, a chemical can be a little bit more complicated. For this invention disclosure, we're talking about kind of technical ideas. I wouldn't hesitate to use it in any field. Yeah. Also, one of the reasons why I particularly like it, it has really good universal applicability.
The questions are clear at the moment. Is there the ability to upload drawings?
Yes, in fact. And if I back up a few slides here. In this example with the comprehensive, the detailed invention disclosure, we included the drawing in PNG form, but other forms are available as one of the attached as one of the attached files. So yes, you can upload drawings, and the tool will analyze what it can from those drawings.
There are currently no questions in the queue. Can this ingest PDFs? If so, with text?
Yes, it can. It'll ingest PDFs, and if those have text on them, it'll use the text. If they need to be OCR'd, I believe it'll OCR and be able to pull the text off of them as well. So PDFs, no problem.
Give it another moment for more questions, but right now we are clear again.
All right, I think that'll cover us for today. There's a question about future developments. Scott, I just saw that come in. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. The very simple answer to that is yeah, definitely. We are continuing to add to our library of guided skills. Our Otto tool is being integrated more and more into our portal platform, tying into the matters that are in your portfolio, the documents that we docket, the documents from the file history, references, anything that you can think of in your patent prosecution workflow. We are trying to get easily at your fingertips so that you can work with Otto around it and build the tools to make that process as efficient as possible. So we are developing day in and day out on this tool. So my advice is to keep your eyes open for and ears open for the new developments that we're putting out. We'll have more of these webinars. In fact, a week from today, I believe, is our next one. We'll go over some more examples of the interesting and useful guided skills that we have, and there will be many more to come. So I hope you're able to join us in the future. And of course, if you've got ideas as part of your practice that would be helpful, or you see guided skills that you're starting to use that could be more useful if done in different ways, share it with us, because we're always looking for that input. I mean, like I mentioned, we're driven by and governed by patent practitioners, myself, Jim, our CEO. But there's a lot of variations in the way folks practice, and they aren't always exactly the way that we do. So we're happy to hear about it and figure out ways that we can work that into the tool as well. So with that, thanks everybody for joining. And if there are any further questions, feel free to reach out. Like I said, we're always happy to hear from you.